At 5 days after the shootings of two Minnesota lawmakers, questions over security at the state capitol are growing. We're digging into what's available for lawmakers and what one security expert is saying about the increase in demand. Plus,
misinformation starts right here on social media. I'll tell you what a lawmaker said and how their colleagues are responding.
And tributes continue to pour in for Representative Melissa Hortman and her husband, Mark. Hear why one woman says the Hortmans left a lasting impact on her life.
Plus, a permit price hike to visit the Boundary Waters.
They haven't changed the user fees for 15 plus years.
Why the proposed change might make it even easier to experience the wilderness. Those stories and more right now on 5 Eyewitness News.
And happening right now in Washington, D.C., Senators Amy Klobuchar and Tina Smith are delivering remarks. They are on the Senate floor, and they're honoring the lives of Melissa and Mark Hortman, killed on Saturday morning. Senator Klobuchar already spoke, and Tina Smith is speaking now.
Let's listen in real quickly to the Capitol.
For Americans. And her gift for focusing on that shared humanity helped her not only to earn the deep loyalty of the members of her own caucus, but also the trust and respect of Republicans on the other side of the aisle. Current House Speaker, Republican Lisa Demuth, recently recalled how Melissa reached out to her at the start of Lisa's leadership. Melissa was the Speaker of the House, and Lisa was coming into leadership, and how she came to view Melissa as a mentor to her leadership. Many disagreements on policy, but Melissa was a mentor to her because she brought such clarity and honesty and compassion to their working relationship. And former Senate Majority Leader, Republican Paul Gazelka, reflected on his years of working closely with Melissa, and he noted that they had built a deep trust with one another because of her honesty, because of her even keel.
Okay, so we have been listening to Senator Tina Smith honoring Representative Melissa Hortman and her husband.
Tina Smith speaking right now on the floor of the U.S. Senate. Senator Amy Klobuchar was speaking just moments before her, taking time to talk in the nation's capital about this violence that happened here in Minnesota. We also know that the man accused in this shooting, accused of shooting these lawmakers here in Minnesota and their spouses, he is now in the Sherburne County Jail, and he is awaiting his next court appearance.
Now, since Saturday, misinformation about 57-year-old Vance Belter and his background has been spread all over social media. We have team coverage digging into those online posts as many continue to mourn Melissa and Mark Hortman. But first, investigative reporter Ryan Raich reveals the work underway to keep lawmakers safe. Ryan.
We've just learned late today there was an emergency meeting at the U.S. Capitol about increased threats against members of Congress. And the concern over lawmaker safety certainly extends to state lawmakers back home. It's just part of the fallout 5 Investigates has been following the last 72 hours. The Capitol grounds in St. Paul are under the authority of the Department of Public Safety. DPS provides the security on campus, but unlike many state capitals, there are no metal detectors or security checkpoints inside. That's hardly a secret and something some lawmakers want to change. But perhaps the bigger issue here is when high-profile officials are out in public. Security experts tell 5 Investigates there may be a shift to private security in certain situations, given limited law enforcement resources. Dave Skinner at National Tactical Security in Minneapolis tells me he's already hearing from some public officials seeking protection in light of the traumatic shooting this weekend.
We've been fielding calls since this story first developed, and we have been providing protection for some clients. We do expect that to increase, like I said, as this threat diminishes and those law enforcement resources are pulled.
Now, generally speaking, we found out state lawmakers are not given money to spend on home security or protection. But take a look at this. We did find this state law that allows lawmakers to get reimbursed up to $3,000 from campaign funds to be used for home surveillance or monitoring. How far is $3,000 going to go?
$3,000 may get you a very small setup of cameras, maybe a Ring doorbell and a few associated cameras. Maybe give you an opportunity to invest in an alarm system, but it's not going to get you any physical protection from like a security company.
Yeah, you can run through $3,000 very quickly. Late today, I heard back from the State Patrol, a spokesperson telling me that they are encouraging lawmakers who are requesting security to reach out to their local agencies where they live. Coming up at 6, my colleague Tom Hauser looks at steps already being taken to protect lawmakers. Paul.
Okay, something they have to think about indeed, Ryan Raish. Thank you. Governor Tim Walz now responding after President Donald Trump said he will not call him, calling it a waste of time. In a statement, Walz's spokesperson says this tragedy is not about Trump or Walz, going on to say that the governor is focused on helping the families and the state heal.
Governor of Minnesota is so whacked out. I'm not calling.
Okay, so Trump did post on Truth Social on Saturday saying in part, such horrific violence will not be tolerated.
The moment we learned of that horrific violence involving the death and the shootings of those 2 lawmakers on Saturday and their spouses, it seems almost immediately it was a hurricane of misinformation that started to take over social media.
Brittany Ehrman heard from one of the state Republican lawmakers at the center of this debate, Brittany.
Paul and Leah, we've seen inaccurate posts from people in the community and others from Minnesota lawmakers. I spoke to Representative Dwayne Quam, who stands by what he posted. State Representative Dwayne Quam posted this photo on X, asking if anyone knew the source of the photo. Then he added, quote, "My guess it is after she interned for Walz," referring to what he thought was the wife of suspect Vance Bolter. What was your reasoning behind saying that?
Well, I had heard, it might have been Alpha News or somewhere, that his wife had interned with Walz when he was in Congress.
Quam told us during a phone interview he deleted the post after someone told him the photo was an AI fake. But according to this Facebook post, the photo is real, but it's not of Bolter and his wife. A Texas man shut down the misinformation showing he and his wife are in the photo. Do you think as an elected official that you're held to a higher standard to fact check before tweeting something out that may not be true?
There was no intent to spread. There was only intent of trying to find out if someone knew anything of the backstory of that.
As an elected official, Representative Quam knows better. He knows that he should not be posting information that may not be accurate.
DFL leaders said Quam was not only wrong about the photo, but the context too.
To try and make it seem as though somehow Governor Walz was connected to the assassin. And none of that's true. It's all been debunked.
Do you think that you could have done anything different looking back on how this was tweeted and it wasn't fact-checked before that tweet was sent?
I guess looking back, I could have called a bunch of different people and asked them about the picture.
And we've also seen Republican lawmakers call out false claims from other state leaders on social media. GOP Representative Harry Niska of Ramsey has been very vocal on X, calling out misinformation and speculation. Paul?
Okay, Brittany Ehrman reporting. Now, the loss of Melissa and Mark Hortman especially hit hard at the Church of St. Timothy in Blaine. That's where Hortman and her family attended for years.
And our Joe Mason is live at that church now in Blaine with the impact Hortman had on the parish. Joe?
Leah, over the last few days, many prayers have been said in these pews for Melissa and Mark. She grew up here and left a lasting impression on this parish. There are people in this world that take you under their wing and help you fly. Jessica Ron Tolsman will always remember that person.
And that was Melissa Hortman.
As a 12-year-old, Jessica was a Sunday school helper here at Church of St. Timothy in Blaine. Her teacher was Melissa Hortman.
Kind, happy, positive energy. She really showed the children, like, I want to be here, and I appreciate you, and I want to get to know you.
Hortman grew up in this church. Her parents were longtime members of the parish. Melissa and her husband, Mark, attended the house of worship for nearly 2 decades. Melissa graduated from Blaine High School in 1988, later entering the world of politics.
And as for my mom saying, she'd be good. She'd be good. She's right up our alley.
Madam Speaker.
Thank you.
Jessica watched Melissa rise as a Minnesota lawmaker.
First, I remember seeing her signs in the yards and going, hey, like, is that who I think it is? And
the tragic murder of Melissa and Mark left Jessica stunned.
And my sister just walked up and said, Melissa Hortman was just assassinated. And I said, my teacher from Sunday school, when I was a helper, and she looked at me and she had forgotten. And she's like, I'm so sorry, I told you this way.
Jessica became a kindergarten and piano teacher. She will always remember the impact Melissa had on her life.
And you're like, someone's life just ended. Someone who was just doing their best to, be there for people and truly make the world better. And they're just gone.
Father Joe, the priest here, said this parish is deeply feeling this loss. We know they are not alone. Live in Blaine, Joe Mason, 5 Eyewitness News.
All right, Joe. Now, we do know this. In just the last hour, this formal procession was held for the Hortmans. It began at the Hennepin County Medical Examiner's office in Minnetonka. It ended at a funeral home in Minneapolis. And we are still waiting right now to learn about when the funeral services could be held.
Moving ahead, tensions continue to grow in the Mideast as the president turns up the pressure for a nuclear deal. We've got the latest developments as the strikes between Israel and Iran reach a 5th day.
You're watching 5 Eyewitness News at 5.